Hi everyone. This is a demo of an expense management use case which uses OpenAI LLM to answer some questions regarding what kind of expenses can be approved, what kind of expenses have been submitted and are waiting approval. And for authorization, we are using OpenFGA. So for our use case, we have four separate personas. There is Dina, who is a software engineer. There is Raj, who is an engineering manager and can approve up to $500 worth of expenses for their direct reports. Dina reports to Raj. And then there is Chen, who is the VP. Raj reports to Chen, and Chen can approve up to $5,000 of expense. And then there is a financial analyst called Frank, and Frank cannot approve any expenses, but he has visibility on all the expenses that has been submitted. So for our use case, let's start with Dina. As an example, so Dina has submitted a bunch of different expenses, like seven expenses, and one is approved, one is denied, the other are still in pending state, and she doesn't have any explicit approval, role, so she can't approve her own expenses as expected. And we are using FGA, OpenFGA as our authorization model, and it looks something like this. There is a user, there is a department, and there is an expense, and this is how they relate. And we have some tuples where we have specified that which, like Raj is the manager of Dina and Chen is a member of engineering. Then we have specified which expense belongs to which department, who is the owner of what. And yeah, and when we use our chatbot, then it will leverage all this data to give us responses. So let's just try out something. Yeah, Tina has five pending expenses. Two have already been approved or denied, but the five are still pending. And Dina cannot approve any expense. So if I say approve expense 111, I tried to approve expense, but it failed. It seems you may not have permission. All right, so let's try with a different persona now, Raj. So Raj can approve some expenses which are less than $500, but for expenses which are more than $500, he can only deny it because it exceeds his approval limit. And for expenses that have been submitted by Raj, he obviously cannot expense his own expenses. So that needs to be approved by Chen. So we can just like approve this one and this will be approved. And if we check show expenses that need my approval, we should get like two of them. 112 and 1302. And we can ask, so pending expenses submitted by me. So there should be two more in the result, 201, 203, correct? And you can ask approval limit questions. Okay, Raj approval. Let's try approving an expense via chatbot. This is one of the agentic AI use cases where we are giving it instructions, and based on that, it is making some decisions, checks the authorization, and finally makes an API call which approves or declines the expense. So let's try approve expense 112. And yeah, the expense was approved. Let's try something fun. Expense 203, which is Raj's expense. And we get the response that, yeah, the expense approval failed as expected. And if we go back to the VP Chen now, VP Chen has approval expense to both Dina's pending expenses and also Raj's expense, but obviously Chen VP cannot approve his own expense. So maybe let's deny the cube contract. Okay, the expense has been denied. And yeah, lastly, we have Frank, who has just viewer permissions based on our model, like every expense can be viewed by finance auditor, and we have defined every department has having a finance auditor, and Frank has been assigned as the finance auditor for every department. So Frank can see engineering, finance, all the different expenses, but he has no explicit permissions for any approval or rejection. So this is another example of how FGA can be used for expense management use cases. Thank you.